Hi, I'm Madison Mary. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, please don't hesitate to click that subscribe button down below. And let's get into the video. We are here today to talk about Court of Silver Flames. If you haven't seen my vlog for it already, that is up. And then next week, we will be doing the live show for this with the ACOTAR along here on my channel on March 13th, 6 p.m. EST. All the details will be down below in the description box. So, Dad read the ACOTAR series last year. We did a whole video for it, and now he just read Court of Silver Flames.
Yes.
Did you like it?
I did, but
What?
I wouldn't rate it as high as some of the other books. And it's not because of the sex scenes, that's for sure, because she got that right.
But was there not enough actual action for you? Is that what the problem was?
There's less action, and I also, the way that she finished out some of the characters didn't, I wasn't happy with that. I think one of the problems with when you get into this far into a series of, she's on her fourth book and now she's trying to build out the world around other characters. It's really hard to do that and then also make sure that you're still paying enough attention to the other players that we've all grown to love along the way. She put people into positions to make decisions that I don't agree with. So that's what I'm going to say to that.
So, two things from that. The first thing, I know the positions thing, characters being in a certain position that's Feyre in this book was put into a certain position to further along the plot for Nesta. The whole point of Feyre's pregnancy and her not being able to do anything about it, I think a large part of that is so that at the end of the book, Nesta has a reason for redemption with her sister. But
I understand why she wrote it that way and why she did that with Feyre, but I think she could have had her and Elaine play in those parts where there was interaction. There could have been bigger interaction, or it could have been more smaller interaction throughout, like when she was training or when she was doing, because she couldn't go to them, but they could both go to her. So, and I know, and Elaine only went once and Feyre never went at all. So it's, I don't know. I think to me, the byplay of the three sisters was what will set us up for this next phase. And because obviously we're going to go to someone else next. So
so what Sarah J. Maas came out with in an interview was that, so there was always going to be 3 books after the original trilogy. This is the first one. There's going to be 2 more. And she's written them as standalone romances, but an overall plot that's going on with them.
No, I get that they're standalone. It's just the plot was fine. There's no issue with the plot. I didn't like the way it ended because, I don't know, she's... everyone seems to get punished for doing the good thing, and even though at the very end the mother gives Nesta back a little bit of something, we still don't know what that is and how much that is. And in the longer term, I don't understand. I would have thought the act of sacrifice itself should have almost been enough.
So the fact that she was willing enough to give back her power should have been enough that she shouldn't have actually had to have given back the power.
Correct. Now, I understand the way the magic's meant to work is that she had to give it back to the cauldron to be remade. But at the end of the day, it was a deal she did with the cauldron.
So the cauldron gave to Elaine, everyone who goes into the cauldron, everyone who gets made always gets some sort of high fae power. So yeah. Nesta will still have something that she still got from the cauldron. It's whatever, she took the death magic from it, so she gave the death magic back. Yeah. So then, the question is what did she still retain from it?
And it was sort of cool to have someone in the family that had death magic. There's something cool about death
someone
magic.
Who was also more powerful than everyone else. Yeah. Someone who was just...
who's unpredictable, is going to do what they're going to do, irrespective of what they think right or... it's based on her own sense of morality. Yeah.
Well, and then there's the fact that she made all the weapons.
That was also very cool.
And I think that's going to have a huge impact in the plot.
It'll be interesting. Well, it depends on who the next series of books are about and what time it's set in.
Well, what do you think? Who do you think it's going to follow? Because this is what everyone's trying to guess.
Well, it's got to be either... because they're the 3 sisters, so there's going to be one about Elaine. So the question is, who is it after that?
Well, yes. Well, and the question is that if we're following Elaine... because if we're following normally a couple at one time, would we be following Elaine and Azriel's POV together?
Yeah,
Even if you don't know if they're going to end... but if they're not going to end up together, would you still follow them separately in a book?
100%.
Even though she said that each of the books are stand. That's the thing, is if she says that
but you can follow... You're assuming that there would be are you thinking the that the third book would be about who?
Morrigan.
Yeah. But then it's got to be Az and Elaine and the tension that's in that relationship, and to see, because effectively we're asking her to break. Well, I suppose she hasn't felt the bond yet, the mating bond.
Well, because her mating bond's with Lucien.
Yeah, but that's what Lucien has for her.
No, you can only have a mating bond go one way.
What do you mean?
She can't have a mating bond. He can't have a mating bond with her, and then she can't have it with someone else.
No, that's what I'm saying. But the mating bond goes two ways between the two people, each person. But she doesn't feel like she doesn't have those feelings for Lucien.
So
never once has she struggled being around Lucien.
Oh, from the mating bond itself.
Correct. You think about what happened with Feyre, think about what just happened with Nesta. Like, when that thing kicks in, it kicks in hard. And all this time, we've been led to believe that Lucien, but it may just be that's the way he feels, but it's not a true mating bond, which would then open the way up for her and Az, because both of them struggle whenever they're near each other.
Ah.
And the only reason that he's not activating that relationship is because he believes she's mated to someone else.
Yeah. And also no one around her is really allowing that. AKA just Rhys isn't allowing it. But then in that extra chapter you saw him with Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's the potential there for them to end up becoming a couple.
Maybe.
You don't want that one? That's not
I'm just saying. I don't know. Only a couple of people know, and it's not the two of us.
Would you ultimately like to see them end up together? Do you think Elaine and Azriel would make sense as a couple?
I think it'd be awesome.
Why?
Because
don't you think that they don't come out of their shells enough? So would they be able to do that together, or would they just effectively become too introverted with each other?
No, I think it's different. I think that there's plenty of plot characters throughout fantasy where the two quietest people become two of the strongest and most powerful. And it doesn't preclude the dialogue that they may have together. The fact that they don't interact with a lot of dialogue with others won't impact the way the book goes, or the plot, because there's going to be a lot of dialogue between them, and then there'll be dialogue between them and the people that they're interacting with outside of the circle.
Well, because the majority of this book, this one, we know that Az is gone from Az is doing something. That's the reason why Rhys was like, Cass, you have to deal with this, because Az is dealing with 20 different things.
Yeah.
So that's why it seems like it would probably be his book next, because it's what has he been doing?
I think it depends on how many books she sees herself writing too. Because, for me, this is a lot like Donaldson's Thomas Covenant series, but nowhere near as on the edge. But, that they took and built the characters, and then they jumped to, were able then to jump to another whole series of subplots.
Yeah.
So you could then have this. She could write another trilogy after these three books that deals with the war that comes from whatever's been happening while she's been setting up these three books.
Oh, so you think that these three could be a setup towards the real war between all the different kingdoms that we're now learning about?
Yeah, because we don't know anything about any of them. Think about, we're just learning about another new kingdom or continent.
Yeah.
She could write a whole trilogy about that continent to set all of those characters up.
Because they're Fae there, and we don't really know
Exactly.
what their Fae whole thing is about.
Yes.
And it would make sense they were setting it up because Morrigan is over there in Valhallan,
Yeah.
and then there are the other two, which I don't remember what their names at all.
I thought it was a good book. I just would have liked a little, I will admit it. I've been reading these books, I like a lot more action.
And that's what a lot of people were complaining about, is that this book was more it was a character-driven book over anything else, which is what she does from time to time.
No, and I don't have a problem with it. It's just, for me,
It's a personal preference.
Yeah, I get to literally had to wait till the last chapter of the book. It's like the last 20% before there was a lot of action going on. That all then started to make sense. She certainly has a way with words and is able to build a lot of pictures.
Yeah, she did a really good job at this one. What did you think of the development of kind of Nesta's newfound family that she's kind of created for herself, and how she kind of branched out with Emery and Gwen, and then kind of how she kind of took the priestesses and the Valkyrie and kind of created her own little...
Yeah, well, but I think that the way she built the character, and there's a lot of stuff happening in the book where you finally came to see Nesta was really the courtier of the family. You know, she was the one that was, taught to lead the family, taught to rule, taught to be in charge. And then when she found herself out on the periphery, characters like that, and that, generally bring together another whole peer group to replace the one that's been taken away, because they're emotionally distant enough that they can walk away from relationships, but they're also it's a character that needs to have more people. So I thought it made sense. And then given that she was so snarky most of the time, it was probably fair to expect that she's going to end up at a place with other people that feel like outcasts and bring them together. So I thought Nesta's development was great. I like the fact that Nesta has this darkness, this sort of underlying. She could go either way. You don't know, and I like that about her. I like that about her character. I think it was something really unique for a lot of these genre books, especially someone who's sort of going from YA into adult. That's more aligned with the real world. No one is truly, I suppose there are people that are truly good and truly evil, but most of us live in this area of grey, and it just depends on where you are on the spectrum. And a lot of fiction fantasy books that appeal to older people don't really do that. And the fact that you can be bad one minute and good the next, there's no reason it's your own sense of morality, and then the way that you're judged is based on my sense of perception. That was what Nesta represented for me. She was right on the spectrum of.
She was on that edge of tipping over and being she could have gone. 100%. Well, and some people wonder. Some people have been speculating that there's a chance that Elaine could just snap.
Elaine.
Mm-hmm. She might be all roses and stuff, but she's been relegated to this role of just everyone expects and wants her to be this demure, sheltered creature. That
no, 100%. We saw that though.
Yeah.
In the last interaction in the book, you saw Elaine's strength of character, and it was. I think she's going to be one of those. I don't know that she'll snap and go like off the deep end.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. I think what will happen is a situation or a need is going to arise that will cause her to actually have to deal with her own true power. She could be the most powerful of all three for all we know.
Because we never really know.
No one knows anything. No. And, if you think about it, she spent a lot of time with the priestesses under the house. She's around a lot of very...
Well, the two wraiths that he has.
She's with them all the time. And she's also around people that are very in touch with their core and their aura. So I think there's a real opportunity that she could come out of this as the strongest. That
would be really interesting and very cool. At the end of the book, there's that whole conversation between Eris and Cass, and there's the whole idea of we've always seen Eris as like this awful, this bad dude.
Yeah.
But we've also only seen that the first trilogy was first person from Feyre's perspective. Like, that's the difference, is that the trilogy was written first person, so you only really knew how Feyre viewed the world.
Correct.
This is the first time we're kind of seeing it in third person, so you're kind of seeing a bit more dynamics, but we're finally seeing that maybe Eris isn't as shitty as we thought he was.
Yeah.
What do you like him a bit? Like, what do you kind of what are your vibes with Eris?
I don't actually have a problem with him. At the end of the day, there are points of time where I think does his conduct somewhat question his character, but that's different. But I think he's been true to himself. This alliance suits him because he doesn't want his father to destroy his inheritance. So it's not like he's not coming off like there's not a mutual need that each other has for one another. You're in a situation where people are going, oh, he's a bad guy. What has he done? He never betrayed them. He never did. He's kept his word, maybe.
I think the problem, it stems from just the fact of, I think that what everyone's problem with him is the fact of that situation with him and Moore all those centuries ago.
But he said in this last book not everything you all believe is what really happened. What probably happened was she didn't want to go there, and he loves her so much he did what he did to leave her so she could return home.
Well, and that's, I think, what the big thing that we missed was, he said, if I had taken her in, she then would have become the property of the Autumn Court. Correct. And that was never what she would have ever wanted.
Correct.
Which would have become a problem. I think that's just going to have to be something that people reconcile with was, yes, he did leave her there, but if he didn't, she would have been stuck with them. And I think at the end of the day, the person who's most at fault for that whole situation is her dad.
Correct.
Who I think is actually, out of all the characters, the worst. I don't think there's going to be any redemption for that man.
No, I think he's not good.
There's no redemption for him.
There's zero redemption for him.
He's gone. He's done.
No, he's not coming back. No.
Well, you know what? That's why I think we need a Moore book, because I think we need to see her finally taking the stand and finally beheading him, because Reese has always said, when the time comes, if you want to kill him, you can kill him.
Yeah.
It's just whenever you want to, and she just hasn't.
Well, I think there's a lot to it. She hasn't reconciled herself to the relationship she has with him. She, whenever she's around him, she acts like an abused person, which we all know that's what's happened. But she's not been able to get herself to a place, and I think it follows society though. At the end of the day, we can all sit here and say, well, something's happening to someone, and why are they doing something about it? But until you're in that situation, I don't think you can ever fully understand how difficult that can be.
Why we will definitely get her book to see that kind of inner development of her, and because it's similar to the way that Nesta had this whole
and she's the only person that doesn't have a story at this point. We don't have her full story. So, and if we're right about it being Elaine and Az, then it really just leaves more.
Mm-hmm. And it would make sense for her to kind of lead up to the final thing, because she's also the one who's going between all the different places, that she would be she is our eyes and ears in all those different places. So to see that final turmoil kind of come to fruition would make sense. Well,
and it also enables us to tie all these books together. So it's I think it's a great book. It's not like the next one's going to come out and I'm going, I'm not really excited for it. Had the next one already been out, I'd have gone straight into it. So I like that about it. My largest gripe is still with
power loss.
No, the power loss I can deal with. That I can probably reconcile that as we move forward. More was about about what happened with Feyre, and the fact that we've taken this powerful, independent woman, and throughout the course of this book, she's just, I don't know, she doesn't feel like she's independent. She doesn't feel like she's got that chutzpah. And I know that they're using the fact that she's pregnant and therefore, but you know what? It doesn't sit well with me. I look at what your mum did when you were, she didn't just sit around and do nothing. And it's not like this woman was going through a pregnancy that had a lot of complications.
Until the end.
Yeah, but that was the birthing piece. And I think it would have been way cool. There was no logical reason for her not to have changed when she could.
You mean in the beginning?
In the very beginning. And I get that the doctor's saying, well, okay, there's risk to the baby, but there's nothing about Feyre that is normal. And everything about her biology, her powers, everything, she's off the charts.
Yeah. And
so at the end of the day, this is a woman that would probably be able to go through it, and her body and the child would have been okay. I just think that, to me, and leading up, I know she had to have a reason for Nesta to give her powers up.
And also to give them up for Feyre.
Yeah, so that the two of them could reconcile. But the thing that was strange was they were getting there anyway, even before that event.
Yeah, because of that whole scene.
In the last interaction, they'd already got there. So she could have gone differently with the end, which would have worked better for me. But that's just a personal thing. And I get, there's no way a woman like that is not has not jerried to what her husband's on about, that he's acting all weird there's no way. And it's not how she wrote her in the first 3 books. So why take someone that you've made so strong and powerful and then go, okay, you know what, something happened and now it's a different person. It just wasn't, that didn't sit well with me, because it just wasn't in keeping with the person she was.
I think it's kind of talking with the book, kind of getting our thoughts and things out there. What would you like to expect from the rest of the series? What would you like to see happen with the whole plot of the queens that are now in limbo, Vass's curse with Koschei trying to screw everyone over with, I don't know, his massive death god, overarching evil powers.
Well, the problem is now we don't have our death person to fight him, so that's not so cool.
At least we have the I think that's what those
the
weapons, her weapons that she made are going to be the only way that you can kill him, because she did. Oh, that scene where she killed Lanthus.
That's true.
That was sick.
Yeah, that was a very cool scene.
That was. And her with the harp and the.
I thought that whole part of the book was really cool. Look, it was a really good book, and I got through it. I kept like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, you got through it quicker than I.
So it was definitely a book I didn't want to put down. I was definitely engaged. I think for those people who are into the sex scenes, she certainly did a friggin' awesome job. Even I was going, okay, Yeah,
yes. She went there she's gone, and they made her cut half of the shit out too. I
personally felt like there was enough. And
I think it would have overtaken.
Even in the last book, in the last series, there were times where, Feyre...
It seemed like she was just throwing them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think we all know that when they go to bed at night, these people, they're at it like rabbits.
You know what I think my biggest issue with it was the fact that learning about them having the meeting, but like we all assumed it was there, we all knew it was, but the actual reveal for it, I felt like was anticlimactic. He was like, "We're mates, don't you know this?" And she's like, "I don't care."
Yeah. In my own mind, that's not a big...
That's a bigger deal.
Yeah, and we all knew it was going to happen. And I suppose the way I had always interpreted it was Nesta knew it was there. She knew it was there because she didn't feel that way about anyone else. And anyone else she did have sex with was just sex. Whereas with him, the blood, the way he made her feel. So it's almost like she knows it, just doesn't want to acknowledge it. And I just thought the way he's going, when he came out and said that, it was like, okay, well... Yeah. And she could have, and I think it would have been in keeping with her character to go, I know this. And you think that I'm going to give in to that? It's because of this, the character, I think she was a great character. I think she was super cool. She was super kick-ass. What I love about her is that she's smart, sophisticated, and also, physically awesome. She's got sort of she's been trained to do this role, and I really like that about her. And I love the fact that in the last series, when she got pissed off, rather than staying and trying to make it work, she just said, well, you know what, I'm going to completely throw away the person I was and become this other person, which they called an animal numerous times in the book. But that's sort of cool. I don't know. She's been one of my favourite characters. I just like the fact that she's there is the darkness about her, and but there's also amazing potential. So always it's cool. It's cool.
Okay, wow, that is our little quick chat with Dad. We will be.
What does that mean? Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
I will tell you. I know a lot of people wanted me to come back, so here I am.
Do. Everyone, people love you. If you love Dad, comment in the comments. let him be able to see, so we can scroll through and see all your admiration for him. We do have more videos planned, things that will be coming out, things that are in the works, which I'm very excited about. And this will not be the last you see of him. So.
Vote for Dad.
If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button down below. If you want to see more of me and him, please subscribe Please subscribe. And until next time, thanks a bunch, everyone. Bye.
Bye.